that you've learned how to launch WinDev and get logged in and create a new project. We're going to see how you go ahead and launch that project once you've I've already been working in it and have it saved. And then we'll go ahead and start working on the application. So let's go ahead and launch WinDev, get logged in. As you can see, I hit the enter key as opposed to clicking on the validate button. Either one works just as well. Alright, so now WinDev has started, and you see I have the screen where I can create a new project, open a project, open example, or open a tutorial. We're going to open up a project that we've already started. And we're going to work on the hello world. So you can see that I have hello world, and that's the location that it was saved. You can, you see here I have pinned objects. So on your task you can right click and pin the project. And then that puts the hello world up here in your pinned projects. So let me go ahead and close out of this and show you what that's like. So if I launch it again, so the next time you log in, once you've pinned a project, you get logged into WinDev. Alright, so now back to the screen. So we're going to open up a project, and see now it displays up in my pinned projects. It's up there. So things you're working on a lot, you might want to go ahead and pin them up there in your pinned projects. Okay, so we'll launch this. Just click on it to launch it. Now this is the dashboard, WinDev dashboard. So you have your dashboard, and you have your ribbon bar, and you'll notice you have a home screen, a project screen, and the items. What you can perform, different depending on source control manager. Depending on what you have selected up here, obviously changes what your options are. So on the home screen, now we currently have currently don't have any pages yet. You notice down here you have your Project Explorer, your analysis, Quality Control Center, commands, code bricks. This is a really cool thing. We'll get into that later, but for now let's click on Project Explorer. And so this shows you your Project Explorer, right? So Windows, of course, we don't have any. Obviously, the arrow lets you collapse and expand items. Once we add a new window, we should see a little triangle here showing that we have items under that. So let's go ahead and get started and create a window. So a couple of ways you can do that. What we're going to do right now is we're going to click up here on this icon here, and that gives you a drop list of things you can create. What we're interested in right now is a window. You notice there's a window and an internal window. We'll discuss the difference in those later. For now, let's just go ahead and click a window. So you can choose blank. You can do it from a wizard, or you can do a pop-up. We are just interested in a blank window, so leave that highlighted and validate. Click the green square with the checkbox, with the check item, to validate that. Okay, so now you have your window. Okay, obviously your typical Windows applications are expecting some sort of input from the user, going to process that, and then give some kind of output to the user. So you want to add controls on here, and you see the creation tab allows you to, these are all the controls you can add to your form, right? And you can, we'll get into those others later. Once you create your window, it's a good practice to go ahead and name it. So you can right click on your window and you see you have description and code and other forms. So you see it on here, it says window, no name. Well, we're going to change that. So let's go ahead and click on description. And you can give your your window a title. I'm not going to. So we'll just say we'll call this main window main. This will be our main window, and then go ahead and validate that. So once I have validated it, go ahead and click save. And title, just ask you for a title of your element. You can just make this whatever. Alright, checkbox. Okay, so now, and now you notice we have a triangle over here, right? So if you click on that, it expands, and there's your window main. So, so we want some, want to get some user input. So let's go ahead and start with an edit control. If you expand this down, this gives you all kind of controls you can use. And obviously I'm sure in later tutorials we'll discuss some of these. For now, we just really want a simple text control, and you can just drop that on your form anywhere. It's a good practice also, once you drop your control on there, to name your control, and also give it some kind of a description of what does the user need to put in there. When it's highlighted, you can just hit the space bar and you see it highlights that text, and we'll just say first name, hit enter, and now so you can see it says first, but you can't see the name. You can right click, go down to resize, and then it expands that out. You can also right click on it and go to choose style, and this brings up all a bunch of different styles you can choose for your control. Alright, we're going to stick with the simple control, so just click validate there. But just to show you how it changes, if I were to say I wanted my control to look like this, so I highlight that and I validate it. Alright, see now my control has been changed, and notice you can just drag that, you can highlight the handlebars and resize your control. Okay, so well, we can leave it like that for now, that's fine. So now we have an area. Right click on it again, go to description, and okay, so you noticed when I changed the name, it went ahead and named the control appropriately for me. Now you can override that and call it control anything you want to. Just make sure it's named something sensible, right, for other developers that come behind you and have to work with it. Okay, so got a good name for that one. Let's go ahead and add another control. Now you can do a couple of things here. You can either come up here and select that, and drop another control on there, or if it's a similar type control, you can actually right click on that, you can copy it and you can paste it and drop your other control on there. Now let's change this to last name. Okay, make sure I got it spelled right. Okay, last name. Now if you'll notice, if you go into the description, it says last name. All right, so we have two different controls on here, and it's a good habit to save often. You never know when your computer is going to crash, so save often. All right, so I got two controls on here, but they don't really, my program doesn't do anything right now, right? So let's add a button. Same thing with the buttons. You can, select from the preset buttons. We'll just go with the standard one here, and we'll drop a button on there. Actually, let me drag that down to here, and again you hit the space bar, and I'm just gonna say display name. Okay, enter. And of course, again, right click, description. Oh, actually, yeah. So it has an appropriate name, BTN, kind of for button and display name. That's good. I can live with that. So let's close that out. Now what we're gonna do is show you two different ways of output. The edit controls where you want some information from the user. Static is it's just going to display, so the user can't edit anything. It's just for display only. User can't edit it. So let's go with the standard static control, and we will. This is kind of a big box, but doesn't matter. So it says static there. Actually, what we want to do here is F2 will take you into the code screen. And you notice down here, all right, this is my window. So this is your graphical user interface, right? This is the interface. This one here is your code window. Okay, code window for that. Well, this is actually the code window for the static control. If I go to the window and say click on the button, and then I hit F2, now I'm in the control window for the button. Okay, let's go ahead and make sure our static control has a decent name for it. I don't really want anything displayed in there by default, so I'm gonna get rid of the caption, and we're gonna call this result. Okay, this is gonna display the result of our process. Okay, so validate that. All right, so now if I check the description there, so static result. All right, what we want to do is take the value of the first name, concatenate it to the value of the second name with a space in between. Okay, so, and we want to do that when the user clicks on the button. So go back to your button, and you can either right click and go to code, or you can hit the F2 key to get to the code. Alright, so initialization is where you want to put your code when you're initializing that control. We don't have any right now, so we're going to go to the click event. Okay, we're gonna write code for the click event. Now, right now we're just going to work with a string variable, and so we gotta name our string, and we can just simply call it result. So notice that notice what happens. I have result there and it's all in caps locks. But watch what happens. Let's say is string, and this is how you define your data type, right? So string is a data type. Now if I just hit enter here, result is string. Result, okay, result actually is a keyword. So you can't say result is string. And you'll see that when we do a procedure, you'll see why you can't do this. So for me to make this a valid variable name, I have to change it to something that's not a keyword. This example didn't go really well, except for I can show you these errors. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to call it something different. I'll call it my result is string. Okay. Notice how WinDev put a lowercase s in front of my result. Okay, that's what the programming charter does for you. Since I elected to use the programming charter, WinDev put an S in front of my result. Okay, so my result is string. Now we want to assign our value to my result. So if you just start typing, you notice that IntelliSense brings up certain options. It gives you options to pick from, and so you can just now hit the enter key and it does that for you. So I can say my result equals and I'm just typing we want the first name, so it brings up those edit controls. So I want first name plus, use the plus to concatenate strings together, plus, and then I need a blank space, plus EDT last name. Alright, and then finally we're going to say our static control result equals the string that we just built. So when we click on the button, this code is going to execute. Here we're defining our variable name as a string data type. Then we're taking that variable and we're assigning the value first name plus space plus last name to it, and then we're going to display that variable name in our static control. Alright, go ahead and remember to save often. And now if we go to our main window, you can click go to run your test program and see what happens. Okay, so if I click go, then my page launches. If I click display name, the code actually executed, but there's nothing in there. So if I come in here now and I say William Cook and I click display, now you can see William Cook there. What if you wanted that font to be bigger? Okay, we'll see how to do that later, but right now you can see that's the basic execution. Alright, that's probably enough for this video, so the video doesn't get too large in size to pull up on your browser. But anyway, so I'll stop here and we'll continue in the next video. But that's how you create your window, put some input controls on there, an output control, and button to actually execute and do some processing. All right, thanks.